All right. I need to actually fix our webcams. Where are you, Chris? You are...
I'm right here.
Chris,
Fix
where
me.
are you?
No, I'm lost.
Oh, you are lost. Oh, I know why. That's why.
I'm lost forever.
It's fun having...
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
Yes. It's
There we
just more
go.
fun that way. See, there's Chris. Chris is good now. And then we go find me somewhere. I don't know. I'm somewhere. There we are.
Fantastic.
Boom. And then yours, I just have to resize. Resize, not... There we go. Look at us.
What is up, everybody? Hey.
Yo. Welcome in, everybody.
Coffee and games. Welcome, welcome. So what I was saying in Discord was we are curious about supporting retailers with Oracle RPG. And our first thought was to send retailers card packs that you could sell that would unlock various modules and different things in the app. And this would be something that we would just send you packs of these cards that you could sell to your customers. Because how are we supposed to support local retailers when we're basically directing everybody to go and download our app? There's literally nothing. We're effectively cutting out local retailers. And that doesn't feel very good because we're friends with a lot of local retailers and we don't want to do that. But we thought about it and we're like, well, is there a way that we could potentially make like codes and provide packs of cards with codes in them that you can sell to your patrons and then they can redeem them on the app? I imagine a lot of retailers have local gaming groups that play D&D. Often, like at our local game store, they have D&D club that come and play their D&D there. So they've got all the miniatures and terrain and all that kind of stuff. So it's that kind of group that we're aiming at, but how do you incorporate the retailer into that so that they're getting a piece of it and they're motivated to help promote it?
Yeah.
So any and all thoughts? So what about doing that with books? So yeah, we have discussed in the past. Let me silence this. This is like the 15th spam call I've gotten today. I'm getting really irritated. Anyway, we have talked about putting codes inside of the books, but the time frame on that is so much longer than something like a card pack. So it's a bit more difficult. We did at one point participate in a program called Bricks and Mortar.
Yeah, we did.
Bits and Mortar.
Something like that.
Was it Bits and Mortar?
I want to say it was like Bricks and Mortar or something like that, though. Where if you got the physical book, then you could redeem a PDF. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as they show us the receipt.
Yeah, we're trying something like that is what we're aiming at if we can. But again, it's all in an effort to support the local game stores. So if it would be easier simply to send local retailers like a box, so that what we're talking about with our manufacturer is like a box like this big, kind of like a booster box for Magic or other trading card games, and inside you would have X number of packs. Each pack costs whatever, whatever the cost should be for that many products that are in there. Let's say a pack has 8 cards and each card is redeemable for 1 module. So, or whatever, figure it out. And then how do you do that? Or do you just do like 1 card is redeemable for 1 collection of modules? I don't know. I'm trying to, like, we're literally making this up as we go along right now, just trying to figure out
seeing what sticks how we can make it best for retailers and the customers, and the end users. I could see something kind of like what Tails was saying, where it's just like a month sub. So like everything in there is like subscription based. So like $15 or
could be.
And it's just because my thing is, if you give them like a ton of options for the retailer, I'm wondering if it's one of those where they sold out all of the 1-pack cards for this module, right? And now they have 50 packs that are 8-pack modules and no one's buying those. Yeah. And so it's like, all right, what do we do with all these? We just want more of this other card pack. There's a way to like simplify it.
Yeah, it could be like a really inexpensive 1-month sub, yeah, that could be a neat introductory kind of a thing to it, where what is considered a module? So a module would be any of the content generators, like the Oracle story generator, the settlement generator, the treacherous traps would be, that's an RPG tools in the RPG tools section. So anything that is like a built-in part of the app is we're calling that a module. So right now the app is going to have 16 modules when it releases, actually 18 because of the dice roller and the audio player, but we're giving those to the backers for free. So it's like bonus, two additional modules, making it 18 total. So, but every single one of those is considered a module, and we want to differentiate those from anything on the marketplace content. So anything on the marketplace might be something that users create or other third-party publishers would create, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, if we did something where we could send retailers something, and then when you sell that, you just keep the revenue from it. It's not like you don't have to buy it from us to then resell it for 50%. That kind of thing. You can basically, we'll just send them to retailers. Retailers can have them as a cool thing to sell to their customers, and then again, like, well, maybe it's just a $5 thing and it unlocks a month subscription or something. I'm still trying to figure it out, the best way of supporting the local game stores. So any and all ideas are welcome.
Yeah. I wonder if there's a way to make like a code that's redeem one module or something like that too, where it's like it's any of the modules, they just buy the code and then that just gives you like a token or like enough store credit or whatever to then go and purchase the module you want.
Caleb, you've got your finger on the pulse when it comes to like what are our options for payment gateways and how we're going to keep track of subscriptions and stuff like that. I'm assuming that kind of thing we could build into the system with a list of codes that are redeemable for, a module, or it would I guess be a discount code for $25 off. Really, is what it would turn into. Yeah.
Yep. Definitely possible.
Okay.
Yeah, because that would be the direction I would aim. I guess we can talk with. I'm going to be at Gamma, so I'll talk with a bunch of retailers as well. So I'll get you some info there. But yeah, anybody who's a store owner, even if you're not a store owner and you have suggestions on you as a player, what would you purchase from a store? Like, that's basically what we're aiming for right now, is anything we can do to support our local game stores with this project.
Yeah, agreed. Hey, Andrea, she's muted because of job.
Yeah.
It's okay. This will be on the main page when we're all done. We'll upload it to our YouTube channel. So all the live streams we try to include on the main page. So thanks everybody for the feedback on that. We're going to keep on working it through. Tails, your suggestion about picking the modules, that's totally an option. And what we're planning on doing is every module is $25. So it could be something as simple as you buy it from the retailer for whatever the retailer wants to sell it for, really, and then you can redeem it in the store for essentially $25 store credit, that kind of a thing. Yeah. So that's totally an option. In which case, I mean, you could just have it to where the retailer can sell it for $25 or less. They could sell it for less, and then it's a deal for the user. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay.
Gives you a reason to go into the stores too. So.
Yeah, well, because we want people to go to the stores. We want people to go to local retailers and build a community and be part of the larger RPG community that way. And we feel like there's good opportunity there.
I wonder if there's also a way to work with like local retail stores that have, like, let's say they run a bunch of DM like their own games and things. If we could hook them up with like one account that has everything, so that they could give that to their DM to show off and things like that. I wonder if that would help.
Totally. Yeah, that's totally.
Like if they could set up an iPad in their store because they have an extra iPad or something. I don't know, but
yeah, that's definitely an option.
That would be an interesting one.
Yeah. Let's see. What if a local game store that holds games maybe sell them your product at a reduced price and let the gamers see it firsthand? You mean physical product? I mean, we already do that. So retailers can buy our stuff at half off MSRP.
Yeah.
So, and oftentimes when they do make orders, we'll throw in extra copies for store copies. So if they order like a case or they get like 4 of a thing, we'll throw in an extra one so that they can have like a display version, maybe one that they keep in the D&D room or whatever, and people can just pop it open and use it and stuff. So if I could finish my retail room, I could actually sell your books. Yep. Because your shop is actually like a coffee shop too, right? I'm totally unaware of the status of the game store / coffee shop situation you got going on.
It's neat. Yeah.
Was referring to the new generation. Stefan, what generation are we talking about? Sorry about the confusion. So I got the impression you're asking about our physical product. As far as the digital stuff, I think that providing retailers with a totally unlocked version for testing out,
for like demo purposes cool. And things they think that'd be neat. Yeah. Especially if you've got an iPad, and iPads have gotten to the point where they're like $200 now, so you could just have it there on the iPad and ready for anybody to use. So the digital, yes, full unlocked, yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I made a couple notes.
Will there be a free version of Oracle? Yes, there will. It'll basically have samples for each module, so you can go and test out like a single deck or things like that. So
for example, if you went into RPG tools, you could see all of the different modules in there, but when you clicked into one of like Objects of Intrigue, you'd only get access to one of the possible outcomes. So Objects of Intrigue Dungeon, let's say, was the one thing that was unlocked, and so you'd have a chance to try it before you buy it. So I like the idea of people being able to try it out and see if it's going to be of value to them before they actually spend the money on it. Sort of like the equivalent of walking into your local game store and being able to open a book and look at the content of the book before you decide, yes, I'm going to buy this book. If retailers allow that, some retailers, they'll shrink wrap all their products so you can't actually get into them, just because some people abuse it and they eating chocolate chip cookies on the way to the store, and then they're just putting it all over the books and stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen it firsthand. I'm always like, that was kind of a dick move.
Yeah, a lot of our books come shrink wrapped already, so which is nice.
Let's see. Is the pitch to the player at the LGS the rules codex you are integrating? So the rules codexes are basically, that's for anybody if they just need the rules, basic rules. So what we're trying to provide them there by integrating that into the app is a way that you can very quickly reference the rules. So in your profile, you'll specify what rule system you're currently playing, and that means it'll point to a different database so that when it pulls information, like it pulls up a stat block for a monster, it's pulling the correct information. And this is a way that you can create encounters using some of the core rules from that game system. You can, of course, then generate content and all that stuff using our content generators, and then you can add a stat block to the monster or the NPC that you created. So that's totally possible as well. But we figured having the core rules built into the app would help with, like, what does a magic spell do? What is this condition? What does this magic item do? All that kind of stuff. Anything that was part, like using 5th edition D&D, for example, there's a system reference document that allows you to use all the basic rules. It's not going to give you all the content from the game. It's just going to give you the basic rules. How do you create a character? What 200 monsters came in the basic rules, all that kind of stuff. So we figured that would be a good way of making sure that the app is as usable as possible.
Yeah. I could also see players using it to keep track of their character sheets and things like that during games.
So a question about, if I buy the Epic with 8 modules, do I also need to buy a membership to access the others? So the idea behind the pledge levels that unlock modules permanently is you get those permanently at one price. If you want the rest of the app, you would go with a membership. Alternatively, you can go with the Immortal Pledge, which would give you all the current and future modules unlocked forever.
Yeah, that gets
for
you all
that
16.
one price.
Yeah.
So the better way to go if you want access to everything and you think you want to go with a membership, so it's $5 a month essentially for you guys, you can just go with that instead of buying the Epic Pledge and subscribing. That wouldn't really make any sense to my mind. So that's why we try to give everybody as many options as possible with like subscription option, an 8 module purchase, a 16 module purchase, and then an everything module purchase, meaning everything that's currently available and available in the future. So that's a really good one if you just want to have access to all modules forever. Let's see, I'm thinking maybe a 2-month sub for the price of 1 month.
So to give the retailers, talking about the
Yeah.
retail. So like a retailer could sell a 2-month sub for the price of one. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Even if someone is coming in every 2 months to re-up their sub that way, I mean, that's beneficial to the retailer because they have someone who at least is showing up every 2 months. That's not that often in all reality. So,
Caleb, can you shed some light on this as far as like redemption codes and stuff? That's going to be something that we could program into the back end so that when someone goes to re-up their subscription, they could like enter a code and it would just unlock them another 2 months or 6 months or 12 months or whatever.
Yeah, that's how that would be handled.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could see a scenario too where we could provide different, some physical thing that the retailer can sell that is a 2-month sub, 6-month sub, 12-month sub, something like that. So I could see that working, and anything that we give to the retailers to sell, the idea is they keep all the proceeds from it. So it's because, again, if the retailers have to buy it from us for half of MSRP and then turn around and sell it, it's going to be a bit more difficult to get retailers on board, in my opinion. So if instead it's something where we just send them no cost whatsoever to retailers, and what we're trying to do is get more users on the app, basically. So, but we're trying not to cut out the retailers while doing that. It's a tricky situation.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where, like, trying to figure out how you support the retailers with a digital product is kind of interesting.
It's different.
It's
definitely
different.
So, yeah. Nice, dude. You got a dragon going on here.
Will terrorize. Yeah.
Making some stories.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, I thought we'd just answer questions and I'll just be the background noise as I...
Yeah, might as well. So I should point out, so this is something that Caleb integrated in the past week or so. What he did was he made it to where every single aspect of every single generator is now choosable or randomized in each little section. So you could actually click the random button at every single level if you want.
Yeah.
You can click random at the very top, or you can click random at every single level, and it will, or let me choose at every single level. So we're also working on a way that you can save this, and then you can go back in and edit it, and edit every field if you want to.
That's neat.
Yeah. Yeah, this is really, really cool. Yeah, I'm liking it. Let's see. Awesome. Thanks, dude. Been having fun using the cards in my games. The app is going to be so helpful for my campaign to keep track of my stuff. Great. Yeah, the whole idea of the app is to keep track of all of your creations and keep them well organized. In fact, Caleb has been going through the campaign builder, and the organization that he's put into there has been really, really cool to see, and like how to contain components inside of other components and keep everything nicely organized. So, and I can see the evolution of it in the future, going even to like a whole virtual tabletop system to where that campaign builder shows up on one part of your screen and you can click on it and expand it out to be bigger, or you can minimize it and it'll just show you the basics that you need for that encounter or whatever. So very, very cool. The whole interface and everything is working out really well. Go create some random items.
Yeah, we got a longbow.
Gravity pull. That's cool.
Strikes pull enemies closer, disrupting their positioning. That's
like
interesting. Because you could take that a couple ways. You could take that like when the arrow hits them, it pulls them towards you. I guess that's how that would work.
Yeah, or instead of strikes, you could ignore that and say when aiming, you can say a word that'll like pull them out of cover.
And that would be.
You can.
That'd be neat. Yeah, they're like behind something, and you just pull them basically out into the open.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be. So anyway, these are all just inspiration, take them and,
That's like my favorite thing about this is, you take this, you're like, you know what? Maybe I want this to act slightly differently, but I still like the gravity effect.
Yeah. Well, and again, you can save this, then you go back into it, edit it, and then you could say, instead of strike, upon aiming, you speak a command word, and it's like a saving throw against your spellcasting, and the target has to save against that, and I don't know, which one it'll be.
Yeah, probably like a deck save or something.
Con, deck save, something like that.
Something like that.
And then if they fail it, it'll pull you, closer, like 10 feet closer or whatever. So that's pretty cool. And if you're behind cover, it'll pull you. It'll pull you out of that cover.
It just throws you in. Pulls you into the cover.
Yeah. Yeah, so Draw Steel, that's going to be unlocked pretty soon. I figured we're going to unlock our $180,000 goal if we haven't already. Oh, we're just about to do it.
We're
I said,
close.
Yeah, we're at 179.9. So in the update, I was like, we'll call it 180. It's fine. So, but yeah, that's huge. Man. Yeah. Okay. I have on my list though here we need to talk about bonus perks. So in the update and the email and everything that we've been putting out there recently, I just wanted to make sure to clarify with everybody, the bonus perks are basically permanent discounts for backers. So every backer gets a founder's badge inside of the app. That founder's badge, not only will it be on your profile, but it will also grant you 5% off permanently on any purchase. Now, anybody who's in the Immortal pledge, you're like, well, why would I need to buy anything? Well, nothing on the marketplace is applicable to the Immortal pledge because that's all third-party content and user content that they might want to make available for purchase. So we can't discount. We can discount that, but we can't give it to you for free. So it's only our modules that will be in there for free. But have no fear, there is no shortage of modules that we're working on right now. So we'll have all of our NPC books, our bestiaries, all that stuff will eventually be on the app as additional modules. So we're focusing on the first 16 modules plus the extra 2 bonus modules for version 1. And then we'll add probably, every week or two, we'll add another module in there. It really just depends on how quickly we can get the content converted into a database and then get the page set up to actually pull the appropriate data. But then let's see, if you're at any pledge level, you get the 5% off. If you are at the Epic pledge level, you get an additional 5% off, so 10% off total permanently. And that's applicable, to module purchases, marketplace purchases, anything like that. Then there is the legendary pledge, gives you an additional 10%, so 15 total, and then the immortal would be an additional 15%, so 20% total. So we're just giving that as an extra thank you for backing the project, and it'll give you that permanent discount. So we are talking about like how logistically like to incorporate it into the marketplace so that the third-party publishers can opt into certain discounts and whatnot. And there is a concern, we don't want to like undermine their sales on their own websites and stuff. But what we figured was if we take that discount out of our cut for when that sale is made, then that could help, just to not have it be like, well, this person's getting this for this 20% discount. It's like, well, but you're getting the same amount as a third-party publisher as you would normally have. It's just coming out of our cut of that. Let's see, off topic, Nord needs fast boats to get those Revenge of the Horde books to the United States quicker. So
I'm currently working on that. When I get back from Gamma, basically So not next week, but the week after. That's something I'm working on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we've got all these books in various states of transit or being packed up and stuff like that, and it's a slow process, unfortunately.
yeah, logistics is kind of crazy right now. So
yeah.
But when is it not? When is it?
Yeah, no joke. Oh, and one more thing about just pricing in general. The Kickstarter it's got this Kickstarter exclusive pricing. If you are at like a $1 pledge right now and you want to upgrade, make sure you do that before the campaign ends. If you wait until after the campaign, all the pricing will go up for late backers, and then that pricing will no longer be available once the app has been delivered. It'll go into a whole different level of pricing. So we basically discounted everything from subscriptions to the bundles by 50%. So the individual add-ons, we just took $5 off each module, but the subscription and the bundles like the Epic, Legendary, and Immortal. I mean, Immortal is going to turn out to be way more than 50%, but the Epic and Legendary are 50% off their normal MSRP. So that pricing is going to end at the end of the campaign. The late pledges will go up a little bit, and then once the app has been fulfilled, that pricing goes away forever. And then there will be bundles available on the app, but they will be at a totally different pricing. Let's see, sorry if this has been answered in the Kickstarter, but do you have an exact date of app release? That really just depends on how quickly we can get our beta playtest done. Caleb and I have been working quite a lot to get all of the database content formatted and then the functions connected. So we were figuring stuff out like exporting out of Google Sheets into JSON, because we've got to convert basically from Google Docs into Google Sheets because all of the content needs to be organized nicely, and then exporting out of Google Sheets into JSON to import into the database. So if all that goes smoothly, it'll speed up the process quite a bit. So we're aiming for June. It might be sooner, hopefully version 1, which includes all the modules, is going to be sooner, and if we can, we'll include all of the rules codexes as well, starting with the first ones that were crossed off. So 5e D&D 2014, 5e D&D 2024, and just down the line. So you can sort of look at the stretch goals as being the roadmap for what will be added first. So yeah. Every time that we talk about dates and everything like that, Caleb and I are always like looking at the calendar like, ooh, but we're on it. Like, this is our Caleb, how late did you stay up last night, aka into this morning? Was it 5 o'clock that you pushed the latest build? Because I saw an email about that.
I got to see the sun come up.
Yeah,
and got to see the sun in the higher part of the sky, which made going to sleep rather difficult. But yeah, that's kind of the
Kid's a madman. Yeah. Absolute madman. Yeah. So I went to bed by 10 o'clock last night, and I was haggard. We had our meeting, and it was about a 2-hour meeting going over a bunch of details. And then I just said, I gotta go to bed early. And so I went to bed early, and I got up early, and I saw the email saying that a build had been pushed at like 5 a.m. And I was like, there's Caleb just whittling away the midnight oil. So for anyone who's curious, Bear has been just editing the content he's been creating over here. And Caleb, if you want to narrate, you can give us a breakdown of what's happening here with the nesting of content here.
Yeah, is there a are you recording?
If you want to watch,
I guess yeah.
So
You have to go to
let me
Twitch.
send you the Twitch. I'll just send you the Twitch. I would mute the window though, otherwise you're gonna hear us in the background. It's funny because we're not. I can't see what Bear's doing through Discord, so I just end up watching this stream.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing on the screen is just a few seconds behind what I'm actually doing. Which
I
is
know,
kind of
it's always funny. You're like, wait a second, you're not there anymore.
Yep. Let's see. Thanks in Insanes. They say amazing. Thanks for the time, guys. We'll need to shoot late here in the UK. Nice work on all you've done so far. You guys make great stuff. Looking forward to see how far next week pushes. Best of luck and take care. Thank you. Yeah, we are excited as well. All indicators say that we'll probably be past $200,000 and maybe past 1,000 backers before we enter the 48-hour final push. So we'll see. And I should mention, anybody who is sharing a link to the campaign with your friends, thank you so much. We were seeing so many people coming in through just organic referrals and stuff like that. Unfortunately, Kickstarter doesn't have a referral program that we can reward backers with at this point. So all we can say is thank you. I've met with them several times to discuss a viral marketing referral program ever since about 2020. It might have been 2019, but anyway, it's been many years that I've been in their ear telling them you should implement a referral program right in the system that we could really help to reward backers. Because if I could give every backer like a 10% discount on every every dollar that they brought into the campaign, up to 100% off their pledge, I'd do that every single day, because they'd be bringing 10 new, maybe 10 new backers to the campaign if it was the same pledge level, and then they would get a free pledge. So that'd be totally worth it. But unfortunately, we don't have that right now. So we just have to say thank you to everybody who's been helping to spread the word. So, but here we go. So Bear, you've got your
I got my realm, which is Otherland.
Yep.
And then we got our main character guy that's in here.
Yep.
Orlando's
nice.
the capital
Nice.
of Otherland.
Yep.
There's a shop in there, which is
General
Steve
store.
Bronzebeard, who's our merchant.
Nice.
Yep.
So there you go. You can just see the cascading of content. Now there is an experimental mode you can turn on that will allow you to slide the two halves to give you more room on your screen for the organizer if you want.
Nice.
Okay.
I'll put like a little thing here so that I could move it over. Try experimental version. I could click it. You want to see what happens?
Try it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I was playing with it yesterday.
There we go.
So now you can slide that.
Yeah.
So scroll down and then hit OK.
Yeah.
Try it out, and then slide that over, and then it'll eventually collapse into sort of a little tiny view. Yeah, so it'll be a quick view
neat
for you there. Yeah,
and then you can expand on all your locations, characters, monsters, items.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. So we're trying out different ways of just helping your user interface to give you a little bit more.
Love this.
We're also talking about reducing the indentation of each child within a parent, so that you can fit more on there, before you start running out of room. There's sort of a logical end of how many children, because my thought is you've got your region, and then you've got your settlement, let's say, or a point of interest or a destination. Then like in the settlement, you've got a shop, and then you've got an NPC, and then you've got an item on the NPC. So what is that, 5 levels?
Yep.
So, we're just trying to make the user interfaces as easy as possible to work with. Let's see, any plans to include way to manually add your own content into the app if we want to integrate other hooks, core rules, post-launch? Okay, so we had a conversation about this yesterday because we've had a lot of people in Discord ask about their own rule systems. Caleb, what was your answer to that?
It's doable. It's definitely possible to do it. It's something that's going to be pretty complex. Make sure that it translates correctly into the UI, but it's not an impossible thing to do.
It's just going to result in a heck of a lot of custom fields, and that's where, looking at how much will go into just a core rule set for like Shadow Dark, which is on the simpler side of rule systems because it's really old school oriented. I'm hesitant to say, yeah, we'll totally do that when it really is a lot of fields that will have to be, sort of custom created, and it might result in a very messy database, but there may be a way of doing it as we discussed, and anything's possible. Every time I ask Caleb, can we do this? He always tells me, I mean, anything's possible. You know, how complicated it will be, I don't know. It's sort of like the more time you spend on the setup, the less complicated you can create for a forward-facing interface. So
yeah,
it really just depends on how many people do we think are going to use it, I think is the best question to ask. Yeah, so I'm not going to make any promises, but what I can say is it is on our radar, and if it is something feasible, we will integrate it so that you can create your own game system in there, custom everything, you know. So like you want to create a custom class, create a custom class. In fact, that's definitely a low-hanging fruit for core rule systems. So let's say that you are playing 5e D&D or Pathfinder and you want to create a custom class that doesn't exist in that game system. Well, there'll be a way that you can do that, and it'll provide you all of the standard fields for that game system. But we have to, for a custom game system, we'd have to like provide you the ability to create custom fields with every single thing. So your game system doesn't have subclasses, so it needs to be able to, or somebody else's does. So it needs to be able to provide you the opportunity to create a field for class and subclass, or just class and you don't choose a subclass. You know, it's a bit complicated. So again, on our radar, we'll have to assess how much we expect it to cost us to make, and then how many people we expect to actually use it.
That makes sense.
So
now if you could type that out so that Andre could get it. That's what Andre asked next.
Oh,
because Andre can't hear it. But yeah, basically on our radar. I think it is one of those things where I always just recommend throwing it in the suggestions, because we have that on the Discord. And we always are looking through those and seeing what we can do and how much people are liking them.
Yeah. Of course, I'm not logged in. You're logged in. I'll send this to her on Discord.
Oh, okay, that works. You're like, I know who you are.
I'm literally have a DM with her because she's another creator.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny. It's funny. Just peek behind the curtain for everybody. Most of the creators in this space, we know each other, and we are in the same Discords. We DM each other directly and stuff like that. So it's really funny how many of us are always bouncing off of each other and sharing ideas and that kind of stuff. And Andrea's one of those. Yeah, always check the Discord. We've got an awful lot of like announcements and stuff like that about Oracle. If you haven't noticed, Oracle is like a big priority for us at this point. I mentioned it a couple times, but I figured I'd do it on stream as well. Our main vehicle for our products moving forward will be Oracle. We will still publish physical products, but those will become more and more like a special thing, because we'll do shorter and shorter print runs of them. And what we're finding is more people buy digital products from us now than physical products. So just sort of the evolution of the industry, I think. So I think it's also a factor of like, everyone's got access to their phone. Everyone's got access to a computer these days, and it's less and less crucial for you to have a physical book. Not to mention, I'm the dungeon master who brings all my stuff with me, and if I can just bring my iPad, that's preferable, because I'm also bringing Dwarven Forge and miniatures and dice and, you know, a DM screen and, you know, stuff like that. So
it can get a lot.
Anything that I can reduce, it can be a bit much.
Yeah, I remember when we were shooting the intro or the video for the Kickstarter, just how many products we have out on the table at the beginning. It's just like, wow, just imagine trying to bring all those. I mean, we did in totes, so it's like those are like the big ones that you have from like Home Depot or whatever.
It took two of those huge totes to bring all the Nord Games products that we brought. which are all sitting right here on my bookshelf now, but also the Dwarven Forge.
Also the Dwarven Forge.
It was a lot. It was an awful lot. So part of our goal with this app is just to reduce all of that stuff. No, so there's not less books to sell. We'll still publish the books. We'll still have physical books. We just we won't have as many in our warehouse. Yes. Mostly because we're just not seeing. So, in Wondrous Worlds was the first time that we saw our numbers go from. Well, at the time,
usually
it was
pretty
50-50.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was like 75 years ago.
Yes.
So, like, it has slowly crept up more and more and more. And on Oracle story generator, I think it was still like 35. 65.
I think it was. It was around that. But then Worlds was like basically over 50, right? Wasn't it
55
finally
digital? Yeah, it was 55 digital, and then it was 45% physical.
Yeah, we finally
so that
saw
really
it switch over.
Gave us a good indicator that we're at the point now where it may make more sense for us to not stop publishing physical books, but prioritize the digital side. And then I started investigating an app version and realized just how useful the app version could be, and then that the rest is history. That was about October-November timeframe. So it was interesting. So what do we got here? This is a Relics and Artifacts story.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Very cool.
A crime syndicate, which is a mafia, will steal. Okay, armed robbery. This is fine already. A book.
Nice.
They're trying to get Eldritch invocations.
Nice.
Their intent to summon a being, a celestial.
Yes.
But the item is protected, and its location is a dangerous location, which is disease-ridden swamp or sweltering desert ruins.
This is
like, this works very well. I just love a crime syndicate will steal, and I was like, okay, sure.
Yep.
That sounds.
Yep.
That sounds pretty accurate.
Pretty obvious. I mean, yeah. This is pretty, it's typical fare, I mean, but it gives you a jumping off point.
A hermit will merge a scroll to change the timeline. But strange magic hinders their attempt, which is currently weather.
Okay.
So maybe they need to like perfect weather in order to use it, and it's just been not that yet.
Yeah.
So maybe like that's kind of interesting. Maybe like it needs to be like a clear day and the full moon, and so it's like you guys know when his next attempt will be, so you have to like stop that from happening.
So someone asked a question about AI. Thanks for bringing this up. So will AI be integrated into the app at some point? The answer is probably, but I'm hesitant to do it without the right methodology. I'm not a fan of like AI art, for example, but that is like for published works. I could see AI art being useful for somebody who wants a character portrait, let's say, or a monster, or let's say a settlement, but it's inside the app, and it's not going to be used for publishing. It's used for them being able to show the rest of the table. So
something for them to quickly make that they can then show off to everybody to use for their personal engagement, basically.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of that. And there's other things that I think could be very useful as far as like text content for AI, as well as text to speech. So accessibility is very important. So I've thought about a text to speech sort of a thing, whether that has to be done through AI, I don't know. Caleb's the expert on that. But if we could do text to speech, I think that would be very cool. But the thing that intrigued me most is a summary description of the content that you are generating. So if, let's say, you create Bear, go ahead and create like a settlement real quick.
Settlement it is.
So if we go into location generator and we go into settlement,
we got a village
random
named River Scar Hollow.
What the AI could do is it could be fed all this content, and it could then pop out a description for you that could then be text to speech.
Yeah,
right?
that would be
wouldn't
neat.
that be logical? So
Yeah.
you could even do it where you could select what kind of narrator you want. Do you want the old man, gruff former adventurer to tell you the tale, or do you want like the young plucky halfling, or something like that?
Yeah.
So there could be a lot of different options there for you, and you could maybe select them on the fly or whatever. So I like the idea at the bare minimum of a text AI generator that creates text based on the content that the generator inside of here gave you. So all of our stuff is created by people, but that doesn't mean that we can't distill it and allow an AI to summarize it. You'll have the ability to write a description too if you want. So you want me to narrate?
They want Chris. They want your voice. You got to do an AI
long
chat
time
model. You totally can train it to sound like you.
Yeah, we could. I hate the sound of my own voice.
That'd be so funny to have Chris as an option. Make that the next stretch goal.
Every time that Bear makes a piece of content for us, I'm always like, God, Bear's got such a better voice than me.
Hey,
but
man.
I think he probably hears his own voice and hates it too. So I don't know.
Actually, I'm very used to my. It's really weird. My setup with my mixer and everything feeds my voice to me, so I can hear myself every time I talk. And I do that because I have like cool stuff I can do, so I want to know how it sounds.
Get the mixer going.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where. Like it was a necessary evil to know how it was working, because I did hate it for a really long time, and now it's fine. Yeah,
especially when you do your whole like dungeon mastery voice and stuff.
Yeah.
That's really fun. So
thank you.
In a world.
Yeah, I always wanted. I would love to be one of those announcers for movies and stuff if I could someday.
Yeah.
As we get older.
Yeah. Anyway, so as far as the AI is concerned, we would want to do it in a way that is not ganking stuff from other people. I would never make AI artwork and then publish that AI artwork.
Yeah.
So
that is a good point to make.
I would only use AI if it were like a private sort of a thing. Like, I don't think it would make sense for us to go and because we work with a lot of artists, I wouldn't want to cut them out of the equation and then generate AI art to then publish a book that was all AI art. Like, I would feel icky about that. But I don't think that if it's something for the user, like the end user, to use for their own purposes, I think that that's okay. And then as far as AI generated text, I think that it's a logical conclusion to help it generate stuff like summaries or descriptions or
do
things
text
of that
to
nature.
speech or things like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good use of it.
I can see that.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. So that's my answer to your AI question. And if we do integrate that kind of thing, I could see a scenario where there's X number of like generations you could do with the AI stuff. So like a section of AI enhanced content, and then it would give you, like, the system would have a certain number for you to use, because we're paying for that every month to our AI model if we go that route. And so we would give you a certain number, let's say it's just part of your account, and then if you wanted more, you'd pay an amount to get more. So maybe it's $1 per 100 or something like that. So that way you'd have plenty of opportunity to create and then be able to click the button to generate. And if you don't like it, click it again. And every time you click it, it's going to take 1 credit away or whatever it is, but you'll hopefully get what you want. Alternatively, you could just use your own, keyboard or whatever
you can type it out yourself.
into that field. Yeah, you can type in that field, or you could use the AI to give you some ideas, and then you could save it and then edit it with your own stuff in addition to what the AI gave you. And then when you want it to read it to you, you could hit the text to speech button. I'm not sure if the text to speech button would be something we could build into the app, or if it would have to generate an MP3 file every single time.
We would probably have to
what do you think
generate
about
it,
that?
right?
But once you do it once, it would cache it, and then you could play it as many times as you wanted.
True, you could have it repeat itself. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. But again, now that's taking up more space on the server, and so we've got,
it definitely is quite a bit.
Yeah, and we'd have to figure out a way also where once you deleted a thing, you would. Oh, the boys are home. Here, I gotta turn up my camera. I'll probably have to mute myself in a minute here. Let's see, turn that off. I'll have to mute myself in a minute here when it gets really loud. But anyway, so if I suddenly stop talking, you know why.
It's all good.
They just got home from school. So yeah, so there's definitely options when it comes to AI, but of course it has to be done ethically, whatever word you want to use there, to where I don't want to come off like we're trying to take advantage of anybody or push artists out of the equation and that kind of stuff. So I want it to be done correctly. And I think that AI has a good jumping off point with the content that you're already generating inside the app, because it's all been curated for use in role-playing games from the beginning. It's not just sort of like flying blind, where it might take a long time to train an AI model for your own purposes. You could use ours that already knows what it is you're trying to accomplish, and it could also change based on genre. So depending on what kind of content you're creating, it would know automatically, oh, this is science fiction, this is fantasy, this is horror, this is whatever.
Yeah, I like that. They were asking about a calendar. Calendar would be interesting. I guess I'm trying to wonder how that would want to be implemented. Like
calendar as far as
like organizing your campaign. So it's like, in 3 weeks from now is our next session. These are the things that are going to go on during that session. And then I'm going to plan for next week's campaign after that to be these things. So it's like, when you check your calendar, you can see like, I'm going to be doing these things on this day. That's my takeaway from it. But I didn't know if that's what they were aiming for.
I'm not entirely sure.
An in-world calendar.
In-world calendar.
Oh, okay. That's a completely different direction. That would be. So you could keep track of events that happen within.
Oh, I hadn't really thought about that. But yeah, that kind of thing, maybe a bit more like esoteric and really just up to you as a dungeon master to tell the story.
Yeah, you could probably keep that in the notes section to start. Like, like this is the date that this happened, like this event or something like that. I could see keeping track in there. But as far as like
something like in the campaign, there could be a section just about events.
Yeah.
So it's sort of line by line, what if you want to use that, you could indicate what is happening in your game sessions.
I'll have to check out Fantasy Calendar. We should add that just so we can take a look. I would put it as a suggestion in the Discord either way.
Yes.
It's always a great place to throw stuff like that, because we always are looking for cool and neat ideas. And honestly, if it is something that's not crazy,
there's no guarantee that we're ever going to integrate anything in the suggestions.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Just FYI.
No, true.
every suggestion we do take seriously.
Yeah, we do.
Like, someone suggested multi-language support, and so I asked Caleb, how do we make this a reality? And he said, we do it like this. And I said, okay, cool. So we can work on that too. Initiative tracker. Okay, so initiative tracker starts to get into the virtual tabletop functionality that we intend to integrate in the future. So that will be, I would say, if version 1 is going to integrate all of the modules and functionality that we've laid out in this Kickstarter, version 2 will begin integrating things like AI enhancements. Version 3 is where we would put in the virtual tabletop functionality. So that's where Braska, you asked about map making. So yes, we are talking about integrating maps into the app, as well as battle maps, tokens for your characters, initiative trackers, the ability for a user to target a monster and so they target the monster and indicate what they want to do to that monster. So like if their actions were things like shoot an arrow or cast a spell or anything like that, they could do that with a couple of button presses, and then it would handle all the rolling and stuff for them if they wanted to. So all that kind of stuff is possible. This initial version we imagine to be primarily like what the Kickstarter video is showing me doing, which is I'm using it as my Dungeon Master screen essentially, and I'm running the game using all of the tools in the app around the table. So we're still around the table with this version of the app. I could see something where by version 3 we now have the ability to run it via virtual tabletop, and then you can connect to my game as a player. Your character, the character that you choose, enters the game. I can see everything about your character, and I can target your character. You can see the monsters if they're visible, on the map, and you can target them. These kinds of things are the basic functionalities that we're looking for at a bare minimum in a virtual tabletop. But then you've got extended functions and stuff like that that we could explore as well. So yeah, it's all those kinds of things are definitely what we have planned for a virtual tabletop version. And again, like anybody, so that kind of functionality is probably not going to be something that we even charge money for. That is just built into the system. But if you want to be able to create monsters and stuff, then you'll need to have that module unlocked, for monster generation. If you want to create settlements, then you'll have to have that module unlocked. The map generator, if we do integrate some sort of map generation, there'll probably have to be some sort of module that you either have unlocked from your pledge level, or if you didn't back the project, you'd buy it as a separate module, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I could see that. That's kind of the direction that we're aiming to go with the VT team.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this is cool. All the stuff that you're creating.
Oh, it's just fun.
Yeah,
I love that it gives you names now. It's so cool.
Yeah. Okay. To Caleb, you talk about the name generator.
It's so nice.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm sitting here multitasking, trying to work on this app.
No, you're good.
What are we talking about? Name generator?
Yeah. Now when I generate a realm, it gives me a name for it.
Oh, yeah.
Or just anything for the most part, actually, which has been really cool.
Yeah, it should generate for any of the location types as well as for characters. So yeah, it should output that stuff, and it's just randomized. Just kind of plug stuff together depending on the deck that it's coming from and the card types, and seems to work pretty well.
Yeah, I've liked it so far.
We're continuing to refine it and get it working better, but for a first release kind of test run, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's been working nice. It was one of those subtle things that when I noticed it was happening, I was like, oh, this is neat.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah, especially for like settlement names and things. This is something I struggle with, just naming stuff in general. Like I'll have go-to names for certain things, and since I do a lot of one-shots, it's totally fine to reuse the same name for things. But if I'm doing an overarching campaign where there's more than one outpost we're gonna go to, right. I could see this being quite useful.
Yeah, it is, and I believe that we're going to add a significantly larger amount of combinations for the version 1 launch. Right now we've just got kind of a test set of names, which is fairly limited. But going into V1, we'll have quite a few more. So the likelihood that you will regenerate the same name twice, at least within the same campaign, would be very small. Yeah. Once we have the full set put together. So
that's so cool.
Yep, it's working out really well. I was kind of not paying attention earlier when you were messing around with the experimental campaign builder. What did you think of it?
I really like Here, I guess I'll go back to it. If we, what is it? Oh, I can go to creations and I can go to my campaigns. I really like the slider bar. I like that I can bring everything down. I would probably use it just in this type of view where it's everything's like my items and all of this is just on the smaller side, and then my larger stuff is all my locations and things like that. My thing that I ran into is I don't know if it's letting me add stuff correctly right now. So like if I add a character, my creations character, add a character.
Oh yeah. Some of that stuff's
So
not
it'll
hooked up, and
it'll
that's
pop
why
up over
it's still
here.
experimental.
Yeah.
But
I think it's
had it pushed out so people could check it out, but yeah, we're fixing all that.
Yeah, I think the only thing is it works fine as long as I am not in the very small view. Like if I'm in the very small view, I can't add the character. I can't figure out how to add the character. So, but I do love the quick view. I'm going to live in quick view basically for my stuff.
Oh, the slide out.
Yeah, the slide all the way over.
Right.
It's so nice.
Yeah, so I don't know if Chris explained in more in detail as to what that does, but if you have a long running campaign, so a large campaign tree, I guess is what I would call it, that quick view will allow you to tap on an item and it'll auto scroll
Nice.
inside of your campaign to get you to that point much faster.
Oh, that's cool.
And the search bar in the quick view will do a similar thing. You'll be able to search for a name or a description or something like that. And
Oh,
it'll
that'll
take you
be
to that.
nice. Yeah, because I could see, especially in a longer campaign, you just have so much stuff in here. You're like, okay, where is that? And then just being able to search it will be very nice.
Yeah, I figured that would be handy. So.
Let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. Andrea, you can't hear us, I don't think. But yes. Not sure if this come up, but what is the possibility of putting in more system agnostic stuff for content creation? We definitely always are leaning more towards system agnostic stuff with our design. So there will be more and more added. And then the other question, would you say some of the modules would be good for helping with someone to make a character background? Or has that been answered already? Yeah, so there are modules that are great for that. That is basically our character generator. I can go and show that off. Let's go back out of experimental here. So within our character generator, you can kind of, I went into the story. Within our character generator, you can kind of choose like what you want their background to be. Like, were they a hero and champion? Were they a merchant and artisan? Nobles and clergy? So you kind of think like, what did I want this character to be doing? And then, yeah, so let's say they were a hero before. You can click on this and it'll start giving you a background for them. You can also choose, let's say you wanted to be a specific race. Like we want to be an elf. But then everything else, you're like, okay, just give me my personality traits, give me my motivations, give me my flaws. So this has helped me quite a bit with coming up with my own personal characters. And then as far as like making NPCs and things like that, it is extremely helpful because I can go in here. Let's say they just ran into our merchant for the first time. I can come in here. He was a gnome. I knew that much, but I didn't know anything else. He is now a rock gnome. He is maybe we did know he was a tailor or brewer. Let's say he was a brewer. He makes drinks, but yeah, I'd say the character creator module will be the best for coming up with backgrounds for characters. Because
You'll
this could
also be
be
able to edit every single one of these fields if you want to.
Yeah.
And we're planning on at the very end. There you go. You can edit it right there. But we're also planning on where you can, at the very end, select to create, if it's a character that you're making, you can select to create a stat block, if it's going to be an NPC, for example, or you can select character sheet. So this would be something that maybe a player creating a character could then create a character sheet, and it would use some of the core content here as the jumping off point for it. So if the role, for example, was already barbarian, then it would put that into your class, and then you could select a subclass from there. So basically, we're trying to make it to where it's easy for dungeon masters to create the stat blocks if they need just a NPC, but this still has a lot more than you usually get with a stat block, like their personality and that kind of stuff. But additionally, if you were creating it that needed more detail, like I want to know exactly what items they have on them, and that kind of stuff, you can create more of a character sheet out of them instead. So you can do both with it. And the final version will be a little bit different than this, because we'll have different sections sort of broken up, where you've got your basic or like core information about them, and then we'll have another section for character quirks, and then we'll have that third section where you can create the stat block or the character sheet.
So would the settlement module be helpful to make backstory for a character or NPC? I mean, if you're trying to make their home or where they're from, then of course. Yeah. That would be great for that type of thing. Because you can go in and choose or select what you need in order to making your location, but you can come up with a settlement. Like, even if we randomize this, it's a village that's recovering. Their population is fearful. Their leadership, reverie and bailiffs? And
Reeve and bailiffs.
Yeah, Reeve and bailiffs.
And then the intrigue is prophetic murals. That's cool.
Yeah. And so it's like, now this is the village that my character comes from. Just like that. And it's called Grey Spool.
Well, and this is just the playtest version.
Oh yeah,
the actual version is going to have way more detail for settlements. Like,
settlements is crazy.
A ridiculous amount of detail. But again, it'll be broken up into different categories. So we'll probably have it to where each aspect of settlements, just like each aspect of characters, is collapsible. So you'll be able to expand, get more and more detail if you want. And then integrate the description into here, where you can click one button and it'll take all the information it knows about this component and then create a description for you. I mean, that'd be amazing. And then click a button to have it read to you.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
We're going for maximum interactivity and maximum options. Literally, I don't think you'll ever be able to make the same thing twice. Once all of the different variables for a settlement are put in there, so a trading post, I think it's in the trillions of possible combinations because of how many different things might result from every single aspect of one of these components. So, I mean, it gets to be pretty outrageous, just the sheer amount. Or you can just select. I don't want it to be recovering. True. I want it to be thriving or whatever.
True.
Oh, not to mention, we will keep on adding more and more and more to each one of these different aspects of every single component in the app. So let's say that this week we put in 10 new outcomes for settlement conditions. I mean, that just expanded the total possible outcomes of settlements by a factor of 10. So it's pretty crazy just how many things could happen. And
it's fun.
We do have to limit it. We don't want to make it too much, but go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I mean, it's just one of those things that it is very nice for using, for like coming up with backgrounds. Or, I mean, all of our tools are kind of there for inspiration, to help you either speed up the process in which that you're coming up with the backstory of your character, or to give you kind of an intrigue or a jumping off point for you to run with it. Like, okay, I now have Feather Crown here, and I can go through and pick all the things that I want, but maybe I'll randomize local leadership, and now I'm like, okay, cool. This isn't what I was going to do, but I actually like this better because it's now a different option than I had in my head. But
that just actually gave me an idea about the whole settlement that the character is connected to. I could see an option on there, and Caleb, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I could see an option on a character generator page where it's got a section for home settlement.
Yeah.
And if you've got that module unlocked, even if you have the free version, it would still give you at least like Trading Post, for example.
True.
But if you went in there and said home settlement, it could actually generate a settlement inside of the character. Like inside the character is not quite right, but like you could maybe select from existing creations or create new, and it would make that settlement for you and save it into your creations and then associate it with that character.
So I think what you're saying is kind of like if I went into my creations for my characters, like we got this shopkeep here, one of the things that he could have in here is a hometown, and then that's directly connected to one of our locations, basically.
Exactly.
Like
and what I'm saying is maybe you would say you choose existing settlement or generate new settlement. And what it would then do is, if you said choose existing, it would just connect those two together.
Yeah.
To where when you're looking at that character, you'd see a location icon on that character. Under that section, it was like, home settlement or whatever, and or in that section it would just list the name of that settlement, in which case you could click on it and it would show you all the details about that settlement.
Yeah, I could see that.
And so just a way of linking things together. And go to the story generator real quick, because this is another thing that we're talking about, linking things together.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's down at the bottom. And then you wanted story generator? Content generator.
Yeah, content generator, story generator. And then just create a random one from contracts and bounties, let's say. This one is pretty easy. So it's going to say a spellcaster. Well, we could make it to where you could add a spellcaster from your creations or generate a spellcaster.
I'll like link it down here, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we could do that kind of thing. I won't promise that that's going to be a version 1.0 feature, but that's a feature that could be integrated to where when you're creating a story, it will actually prompt you to create all of the different characters, monsters, locations, all that stuff. So that could be really powerful and save you an awful lot of time. So, which is one of our biggest goals in this whole app, is to save you time. So let's say that we use this as a jumping off point. We say, okay, a spellcaster, and then somewhere in that area, it prompts you to generate or add a spellcaster. You go ahead and you say, I already have a spellcaster. I'll go ahead and add that spellcaster, but I don't have an undead. So the subject is undead.
Yep.
I can go into undead and I can generate an undead creature. So it says generate creature, but it already knows it's an undead. So it automatically chooses creature type undead.
Yeah.
Or in this case, it's vampire spawn, actually. So it already knows what it is.
It can go even further, yeah.
Yeah. So it could do that. And that could be very, very cool, save you a lot of time. And then if you don't want that, okay, instead of that, I'm going to connect a different creature entirely.
Yeah, I could see that.
I don't even want the undead. I don't want a creature. So again, you could connect different components to other components, so you have a very quick reference to be able to switch over to that thing. And I don't have to hunt and peck to figure out, well, what undead is that? You've already connected it, and now you can just click on the icon for that monster, and now it shows you in an overlay everything you need to know about that monster.
Yep. I like that.
So yeah, and just how do you make this the easiest possible app to use and the most intuitive? Like, that's what we're trying to accomplish here, so that all of these things that you're creating, not only can you create them extremely quickly, but they're the right kind of content that you need to run your campaign, to create your encounter and all that stuff. So, and then how do you make it as quick as possible to pull that information up when you need it? So I think we're on the right track so far. There's a lot of stuff that we can do to make it even better, but of course we have to lay the foundations first, and then we can start to add more and more cool stuff that streamlines the process.
Nice. We got another question. After the Kickstarter, will there still be a lifetime sub?
I don't think so. I'm trying to restrict that to, well, okay, the Immortal, I think we're trying to restrict that to Kickstarter only. So I could see a scenario where we run another Kickstarter for some, additional big features or whatever, and anybody who's new.
Yeah, at that point you would offer the Immortal Pledge once again.
But it would be like $400 to $500 at that point.
Yeah, because it would be a lot more modules included within it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And the same thing for the Epic and Legendary, unless Epic and Legendary we keep it 8 modules and 16 modules respectively. So, but the Immortal Pledge, I want to say that that's just going to be a Kickstarter only kind of a thing. So
So grab it while you can.
No. Yeah, grab it while you can. Yeah. So again, like, we're trying to make sure that we're fair across the board, and anybody who's backing us now is getting in on the ground floor. And so we're trying to give them those extra perks and say thank you so much for believing in us. Because think of it this way: without this Kickstarter, this isn't going anywhere. It would just take way longer. So we're raising the funds now to be able to really streamline this thing and get it off the ground as soon as possible. If not, then we'd be allocating a certain amount of our budget to it, and it might not get done nearly as fast. So the speed at which we've been able to develop to this point has been lightning fast. And it's because we've been able to devote quite a lot of time, effort, and energy to it, because we funded on day one, and funded by a factor of 11 or 12 times what we needed to actually raise. So that told me right off the bat, okay, go full speed ahead. Caleb, go for it. Stay until 5 in the morning every morning if you want to, and work on the app. Get
it's up to you.
Ready to go.
Of course, we're putting that on.
Yeah, for everyone's clarification, I don't tell Caleb when he should be working or whatever. He works whenever he wants to work, and if he works up to 5 o'clock in the morning, that's his business. I cannot be held responsible for any of the ramifications of staying up that late every single night working on the app. But a nice byproduct is he's updating the community on a daily basis with new functions and pointing out, hey, check out this, I added that. A lot of the time, according to the feedback we're getting from the playtesters. So someone finds a bug, this thing's not working quite like I thought it would. Oh, okay, we can maybe fix the user interface to be a bit more clear on how that functionality is going to work. So, yeah. And
thank you, Caleb.
He's keeping himself. Thank you, Caleb. You are crushing it. He's keeping himself muted because he's quite humble.
We appreciate
and
you.
He's also literally multitasking right now. He's in the back end of the app working on stuff. So
that's correct. I'm actually working on the audio player.
Nice.
Yep.
That's so exciting.
We were talking about. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's coming along really well.
So the audio player is a neat thing where basically we want it to allow you to play ambient sound loops, sound effects. So if you just want something to play one time, or as many times as you press the button, really. So when the mummy shows up or whatever, the sound of the sarcophagus, lid sliding off or whatever. So that's an example of a sound effect, or a magic spell going off, a sound effect for that. And then we also want music loops. And we're also talking about and this is taking inspiration from our friends over at Alchemy RPG. You've got a music track and then a combat music track. So something like that where you can change the music on the fly when they get into combat, for example. And of course, but this is thinking in terms of a non-VTT product where we're still at the table playing, and I've got my iPad hooked up to a Bluetooth speaker or whatever. So this is where I can be playing, I can go into the audio player and I can be playing music just in general, and I can switch back to the audio player to change the music if I want to, or I can add music and other ambient sounds and stuff, as well as sound effects, to components. So if I'm in the campaign builder, I can attach a music and ambient and sound effect track to a component. So when I want to, and I'm on that component, I can press play on the music because we just entered a certain realm, and I can then press play on the ambient track when we enter a certain location, and I can press play on a certain sound effect when I want the mummy to make a certain sound. So every component will have the ability to have audio attached to it. So, and it's all done through the audio player, which everybody who's backing the project gets that for free. But that way you're basically you have the control of the audio no matter where you are in the app. You'll also be able to continue the audio playing even if you turn off the screen of your device. So I had an audio player, I probably still have it somewhere, on my phone where you can't turn the screen off or else the audio stops playing. That's dumb. So, it's stuff like that, like kind of no-brainer functionality that we're trying to build into it so that you're not wasting battery on your device just by having the audio playing through your Bluetooth speaker. So, because you got the screen on. So yeah.
Will the audio player be Oracle exclusive sounds, or will it be able to use your own via like a link or local files?
We are talking about allowing local files, meaning files that you can like record and upload, or you've got access to as like an MP3 and you can upload. There will be a size restriction of your entire account. So we have to keep that in mind. Maybe we restrict every account to a certain amount of gigabytes. We have to look at that on the back end and figure out how much are we paying per gigabyte for storage, and then what's a reasonable amount of space to provide the users. So we'll have a bunch of options you can choose from that are built in. And what'll happen is once you choose them, they'll download an MP3 to your local device. They'll then be able to, you won't be running it from the server basically. So connectivity wise, once you select a file, it'll then pull it down to your local device. So it'll run for your local device. But if you have MP3s or you can somehow record audio to your device, let's say you record what the dwarf says when you first are introduced to them, that can then become an audio file that can attach to the dwarf. So record it maybe as a sound effect. And then you can say, when you encounter this dwarf, you hear this sound effect. And you can just play it at your leisure. So maybe even multiple files. So these are the things that the dwarf can say.
Yeah.
So
I can see that. That's neat.
We're
could
also
users...
planning.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we're also planning on allowing users to upload their own art files, but they will go through a screening process to avoid inappropriate content
Storage
from
of,
being uploaded into our
Yep. Basically, to make sure that people aren't storing stuff that they shouldn't be on our servers.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Makes sense.
We could get into a lot of trouble from people storing inappropriate content on our servers.
Yep.
So it has to go through a screening process, and that'll be handled by some sort of AI bot that on its way in, it looks at it and says, that's okay.
Yep. Could users pay for additional space for audio files?
That'll be a Caleb sort of question. I'm not entirely sure right now. Caleb, do you have any insights on that as far as like size wise, and could users pay for more storage on our servers for their files?
Yeah, absolutely. If that's something that we want to look at doing, we can definitely offer some sort of packages that they can purchase or upgrade to that would give them more storage capacity.
Follow-up question, or maybe link to their own cloud storage.
Link it to their own?
Yeah, like maybe upload for like a pull from URL kind of a thing.
Yeah, I guess if they had like an audio file on like Google Cloud or something like that, would they be able to pull that down?
Yeah. I have to think through that in terms of legality.
Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah.
And more so like how the app stores their policies on such things. Being able to use audio that may not belong to a person, or they don't have the copyright information for to be able to use it inside of our app. And so even if they're using it for personal use, we'd still have to check and see what the legal boundaries are on that.
Yeah.
So that is we will look into it.
Yeah. Again, I mean, anything's possible. It's just how do we handle it so that we're following the law and we're not violating copyrights and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And I could see this all being stuff that is not necessarily 1.0, my personal guess, right? We're looking at basically the audio player for 1.0 will be handling our files that you guys can choose from us.
Yeah. Well, what I'm planning on is we'll have at least 10 music files per mood, if we want to break it down by mood, and then 10 ambient sound loops per environment. So you've got or location, I should say. So you've got your environment. So tundra, you have wind and that kind of thing going on. We could even have a selection of overlay for weather. So you could have the sound of rain, but you've got a forest ambient with rain in addition to it. So sort of layer those on top of each other. So you've got the sound of the birds and the fauna in the forest, and then on top of that you say, and it's raining, so you have the sound, because rain sounds different bouncing off of leaves and the forest floor than it would in the city.
Oh yeah.
So the sound of rain in the town would be a different file than, so what we could do is
maybe do by location.
Well, in the audio player, you'll have access to everything, and it'll be sorted by location. But then when you go into a certain component, then it would only show you the audio files available for that component. So music could be anything, but ambient would only be for that component type. So yeah, that could be how I would organize it. So again, it's as logical as possible while you're using the app, and it's intuitive. So I want to avoid any frustration, and I'm sort of I'm the target audience, which is really funny because when you look at our actual marketing information and demographics and stuff, Bear and I are in the exact middle of all of the demographics.
Kinda.
So as far as age and understanding of technology and all that kind of stuff. So I would say that most of our fans are on the more techie side, more familiar with technology, primarily because we all grew up with it. Less so than the younger people, ages 15 to 25, or maybe even up to 30. But we're all fairly familiar with how to use apps, how to use our web browsers, all that kind of stuff. But we also want to make it accessible to people who are less inclined with technology as well. So again, designing this to be as intuitive as possible, accessible as possible, and do all the things that you need from an app like this. So all the tools that you'd expect to have at your disposal when you're running your game, and as quickly as possible too. That's why certain things, a lot of the functions in our first beta test were all pulling from the database. So every time you did anything, it was pulling from the database. What Caleb has done now is it actually pulls and caches a ton of the content so that it's pulling from local database instead of the server.
Oh yeah, I can see that speeding up considerably.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now that the web version doesn't do that because it always has to pull from the database because it's web. You can't install anything locally. You can cache it on the browser, but you can't install anything locally. Whereas the app version on your phone, as soon as you open a certain section of the app, it's going to automatically pull the database for that, and it's only text, so it's 70 kilobytes, it's tiny.
Yeah. But
it'll automatically pull that down so that when it does the query, it's doing it locally instead of having to call the server every single time. So it does two things. One, it makes it super fast, but also it reduces the requests to the server for us. So you have one request to the server that pulls down all the data it needs, and then you could do it 1,000 times. It won't call the server again until you go to a different part of the app. So that's the kind of stuff that we've been optimizing, and it may not be major updates for content, but there are definitely some interesting feature improvements that are going on behind the scenes right now. So, and these are things that we wanted to have done and ironed out before beta 1. So we're in alpha 1 right now, alpha 1.11 or whatever, it actually shows you the version at the top of the screen. But in fact, where are we on? Just curious. I know it's been like the 40th build of the app, but actual version number is Alpha Playtest V 1.1.2 is what we're currently on. So when we go to beta test version 1.0, that's when all of these speed, all the back-end calls and everything will be optimized and all of that. Other things like all the text sizes and stuff will be standardized and all that too. Yesterday we were going over, Caleb and I were going over the some action items, and one of the things was text sizes, and he said, yeah, I've basically ignored text sizes for now because I'm working on functionality. As soon as I have that all ironed out, I'll go ahead and return to the text sizes and fix all of that.
Could see that.
So let's see, I put the family background suggestion in the Oracle app suggestion. Family background,
yeah, so that you could have like this character's related to this character who is related to this character sort of ordeal, like have like a
family
tree
connection
going.
Yeah, it could be under bonds, I suppose, or because bonds can be non-family. I suppose you could do something where there's a way to connect familial characters together. Yeah, that could work. Okay, yeah, it's definitely an option. See, everything about every component is totally editable. It's just one other field in that component. So we can do things like that even after the fact. We can add them later. So yeah, very cool. And again, anybody who has suggestions, go to the Discord, put into the Oracle app suggestions, and there's no guarantee it'll be integrated, but there's a good chance that we will give it serious consideration. Yeah. Let's see. Instead of only a text list of bonds, family, etc., I'd love to see like a bubble map or tree.
Oh, okay. So you can make an actual family tree. That'd be kind of crazy.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
That could be interesting.
Yeah, that's especially useful when you go to like maybe an organizational tree of like, here's the big bad and here's all the underbosses and the people below them and et cetera, et cetera.
True. Cool. I guess if you are doing trees, you could make it more like you can use it for other purposes. So it's not just a family tree. Like you could use it for, as you just said, an organization, or like maybe a ruler for a kingdom. So, like this guy's at the top of the list and it kind of comes down from there. That could be neat.
Yeah, on that topic, actually, rulers and stuff like that. So all the modules are gonna, well, not all of them, a lot of the modules will change a little bit in beta 1. Your location generator will actually be split out into the 3 different categories. It'll be worlds, settlements, and destinations. So worlds will establish things like continents, realms, and regions, as well as landmarks. And then your settlements will be all the settlements. Destinations will be all the destinations. So it'll actually be a bit more compartmentalized, different than the beta test, because each one of those, like settlements, I haven't even counted yet, but each settlement type has like dozens of different attributes or details, if you want. Like, let me just pull up my physical copy of settlements. So if I go in here and just start counting the each attribute of a town. So we've got origin, priority, specialty, age, size, condition, environment. Well, environment's a little bit different because you'll actually drop that into your region, which is your new environment. So in your environment, so that's what, 6, I think? Yeah, 6 so far. And then prosperity, which 7, overflow, fortification. We've got 9. Then we go into step 2, which is community. So that was all just basic information. So 9 details about basic information. Then we go into the community, and we've got the. Let me just start counting them. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
If you keep reading
6,
them out, we'll
7,
be here
8, 9,
all
10.
night.
I know. 11, 12. So 12 things about the population. Then we have points of interest, which this is now establishing your shops and you know.
Yeah, what your goods are, trade goods are.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So, and that, I mean, that can be so many. We've got non-commercial locations. We've got places of education. We've got places of gathering. I mean, it goes kind of nuts. So it'll be things like shops that when you go into your settlement generator, one of the options is going to be your points of interest. So points of interest being locations that are usually inside of settlements. So there's a bit of a, we're trying to keep it reasonable with each one of the generators and not overwhelm people and keep them somewhat compartmentalized. So if you have, let's say, you don't have the realm, or you don't have the world generator module, but you do have the settlement generator module. Settlement generator will give you things like different settlements and points of interest inside settlements. So it'll have an awful lot of content built into it. But if you wanted the larger stuff like regions, realms, and continents, you also need to have the world's generator, and that's derivative of the Wondrous Worlds book, but simplified to be in the app, basically. So
yeah, there's a lot.
Complicated. There's a lot. So distilling all of this into databases it's extremely challenging. Yeah. So, but we're making it work. It's coming along nicely.
Taranis, you take care. Thanks for hanging out. We did have another question.
More questions?
Will there be a way to generate inventory in shops eventually as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. And so that will be related to the game system that you're currently in, because we'll need a way to have a logical list of like the types of things you can find there. Yeah, and then it'll probably list it with its suggested price and all that stuff based on the game system that you are currently playing. So now it gets even more in the weeds when we start adding other genres in there as well, because then we've got like science fiction. So we'll have to rebuild all of these to cater toward science fiction outcomes and all that as well. Fortunately, a lot of the concepts are very easy to translate. So it's not going to be as big of a lift as you might think, but there'll be certain things where it'll have to convert it from a fantasy themed concept to a sci-fi themed concept. So keep that in mind. It's quite an undertaking here. It's a lot. Yeah. But it'll be worth it in the end. It'll be excellent. So yeah, Caleb is handling all of the like programming side of things, and I'm handling all of the actual content. So converting the content into a database format so that it can be easily read by the program. So yeah, it's challenging.
Yep, you're both going to be very busy.
Yep. I don't mind.
Yeah.
Tell your friends. Let's get more people on
here.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was going to say. Keep Chris even more busy.
Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. I mean, here's the thing. We could be doing lots of other things. Right now, we are creating a platform to help everybody save huge amounts of time and help with inspiration and creativity. So I'm stoked that that's what we're doing. It really is a fun experience, and collaborating with other members of the team, Caleb in particular, to talk about it and just figure out how we're going to accomplish this goal. What is the goal? It's X, Y, and Z. Well, how are we going to accomplish that? Well, we can build it like this, and we can have it do this. And so solving these problems has been an extremely good experience overall. Challenging, but worth it overall.
Yeah, it's turning out great. I love it.
This one thing that you're doing right now, that was in and of itself one of the coolest things we could have embarked upon. Because now you can have it do the whole thing, or you can pick and choose everything, or what you want to pick and choose, and then make random the stuff you don't want to pick and choose. So, like, kind of a no-brainer. And then is it the button on the left that you press to edit?
Yes, it's this up here.
Yeah, cool. Now every field is editable.
Every field is editable.
Yep. Super cool. So let's say a Harbinger of Doom, and you're like,
yeah,
I didn't get any options that I liked, so I'll edit my own thing. I'll put my own details.
Your own details.
Yeah, exactly. So
I know it's
now it's blank. But you can select it again if you want.
Oh yeah.
So it'll just grab it again. There's we never want it to become like it forces you to do anything.
Yeah.
As in, you have to do it this way, or anything like that. So, any more questions from anybody? Because if not, I'm gonna call it a day.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, this is a nice little live stream. Yeah. The time went by real quick too, which is crazy. I looked down, I was like, wow, this is gonna be a long one to upload to YouTube.
I could talk about
same.
Dungeon Mastery and role-playing games all day. It's one of my favorite things about going to the conventions, actually, because when I go to conventions for role-playing games, it is just so much fun to sit in a lounge with a bunch of other players and Dungeon Masters and just talk about our adventures and talk about stories and all that stuff. And this app is going to change all that for the better forever, which I think is just one of the coolest things about it. Take all of our content generation and put it into a single app. You've already changed the whole industry. Add a whole layer of being able to run your game from it, and you've made it even better. And now add a layer of AI integration and a virtual tabletop on top of that. I mean, where else can we go from here?
Yeah.
Who knows what version 4.0 turns into, but we got to start somewhere, and this is looking really good. Oh yeah, exporting. So importing and exporting functionality we've already talked about, and it's something that we will integrate. We just need to know what formats, and we can then program it. Well, Caleb, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we can format it into such a way that it can receive and export to those other platforms. So we've also talked about API integration with these other platforms as well. So that may be a thing where you don't even need to have an account with Oracle, but let's say you want to stick with your preferred Roll20 or whatever. If they want to plug into our backend, if there's a way that they can do that, they can they'd have to change their user interface and stuff like that. They'd have to, develop it on their end, but they could make it to where Oracle content could be generated inside of their app. So
that would be neat.
If they've got Roll20 or Alchemy or whatever, it's all text. I mean, it's all just text information. So they could potentially reach out to our service via API to generate this kind of content inside of theirs. So, we'll see. But I mean, correct if I'm wrong, Caleb, speak now or forever hold your peace. I'm pretty sure importing, exporting, and API are all possible. It's just a matter of how to execute it.
Yeah, absolutely. Import, export is something that I'm already working on, and then as far as like API and stuff like that, so my background comes from server management and API development, so that's definitely a doable thing when we get ready to do that.
Okay,
that's awesome.
You heard it from the man himself. Sirenscape. So Sirenscape, that's for audio files and stuff like that, as far as I know. We'll have to reach out to them. We're already in talks with a lot of them, but that's one that I haven't talked with yet. But yeah, we can definitely interface with them too and see if there's a way that we can connect accounts together. And the one thing we're trying to avoid is undermining anybody else. We don't want to, crash through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man and just be like, you don't need anybody else's stuff, just use ours. I think that's kind of a mean thing to say. I think all the virtual tabletops out there all have excellent tools. We're just making our own to make it our own, the way that we want it to be. We can't control the way that anybody else builds theirs, but we can control how we build ours. And if that means that people move to ours, great. maybe it creates more competition in the space and they come out with their own content generators. I don't know. But I think that we try to make the best tools we can with what we have to give to the community, and the community will make the decision on where they want to spend their money. Built-in safety tools, X card, etc. I don't know what that means.
So like an X card is like during roleplay and things like that, if you're going into a topic, it's usually a way for a player to like gesture or show that like this isn't something that we want to do right now.
Gotcha.
It probably is just something up to your DM on how they handle that. There might be a way to like add something in the app, but
I could see definitely once it gets to the virtual tabletop
level, I could see that
messaging
as well.
to the DM. I would love a feature, like for me, I'd love a feature to be able to DM players to where no one else can see, and you could have it vice versa. So you could have something where players can DM the dungeon master and no one else can see what they're saying. So like, for example, I will text players at the table, under the table, with something like roll a dexterity saving throw or something like that, because I don't want anybody else to know what they're doing. And they'll just roll and then they'll text me back what the number was, or I'll just see it because I can see it on the table or whatever. So yeah, anything like that we can definitely integrate into the virtual tabletop version, because now you're actually connected to each other in the game session. So I can see that definitely being an option in the VTT. Now, timeline on the VTT later this year, hopefully. So we'll see. And again, I don't know if it's going to be something where we want to run multiple Kickstarter campaigns, or if it's going to be more like we came out with the new AI integration. Here you go, everybody. And it, the word is spread basically because of the new feature. I would think that each big milestone, it would make sense to at least launch it on a crowdfunding platform to get new people interested. Anybody who already has the app and has like purchased the Immortal Pledge, there's nothing really for them to buy other than when we start to partner up with other third-party publishers, and then the marketplace gets expanded. But we do like a campaign where we partner with Hit Point Press and we put a bunch of Hit Point Press content onto the app. So I could see that as being worthy of running a campaign for. Big milestones also maybe, but it has to be like a really low funding goal, because it's sort of like, how are we going to justify a really, really big funding goal when we've already sold the product to a bunch of people? It's kind of like if we came out with Wondrous Worlds, if we made like an update to the PDF, it's unlikely that we're going to be able to get a lot of people on board to a Kickstarter again for Wondrous Worlds. So, it's a bit difficult. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see. It's a bit difficult. Once you run a Kickstarter, if you launch a Kickstarter for the same thing, you could see a significantly lower number of people jumping onto your campaign potentially.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful about that. And then what ends up happening is you get into sort of a like people see that it didn't fund very much, so they don't back it. So we have to be careful about that, unless it's something where we do something where we would just say that the funding goal is $1.
Yeah, I mean that is another way of handling those, where you just know, like, hey, you guys are just getting in. This is features that will be added.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what happens is anybody who's already backed the project backs it for $1 just to have more backers on there. So, you've already got the app and everything. You've already done the Immortal Pledge, but you at least come to it and pledge $1 so that everyone who's following you is notified, and our total number of backers is, supporters is as high as possible. So I can see that as being a good way of handling that. And for your $1 reward, you get another, badge of some kind,
Sure.
So right now it's the founder's badge, and then in the next one we do some other badge that gives you some thing, in the app.
I could see
I can see that working. So again, or it might be something where a bunch of modules are like how we're doing these 2 modules for the dice roller and the audio player. We come up with some additional modules that you get for free. That are just
if you back the project at all. Yeah,
something like that, or it's something. Reward people with something. It's hard. It's slippery slope because we're trying to reward people as much as possible, but then there's always weird caveats with that. So we reward people with an additional discount, but then there's the concern of like, well, what are the implications of that for third-party publishers? Now, are they going to be less, excited about putting their stuff on our platform because a bunch of people are going to get a big discount? I don't know. Like, you try to work with it. You face these challenges and you try to work with it in the most equitable way possible, and making sure that people don't feel excluded and don't feel cheated out of some sort of discount or something like that. So yeah. So Kickstarter second go around can definitely be difficult for the Kickstarters, so we have to be careful about that. My initial thought was run a campaign every time we have another publisher to put a bunch of products onto the marketplace.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we do like a Kobold Press Bestiaries or something like that, and we split the proceeds with that third-party publisher, and they're inclined to share it with their customers. We can share it with everybody here, and it's not part of an Immortal Pledge or whatever, so you can come and spend money on, the Tome of Beasts.
Yeah, it might be still something that you want to back yourself or something like that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yeah. Yeah, and anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them on Discord. That's basically the fastest way to get answers from us. And if you do have any suggestions, go into the suggestions area and let us know what you think, and see if what your idea is. Maybe it's already there. Someone else has suggested it already. So keep that in mind. Got a lot of suggestions in there already.
It's true.
It's good. We're seeing a lot of good activity on the Discord. So we are at $180,000, $600. Excuse me, $180,600. Thank you everybody for your pledges, and thank you for continuing to share the campaign with your friends. We're at 856 backers. I really hope we get to 1,000 backers before the 48-hour email goes out. We are right now at 5,198 followers.
That's insane. Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when that email goes out, over 5,000 people are going to get an email from Kickstarter saying this is ending soon. My hope is that prompts a lot of people to back before the end. And they're not late backers, they're still within the time frame. But they're coming in at the last 48 hours. We usually see a big jump at the last 48 hours, so I'm very hopeful for that. But thank you everybody who's already backed, and thank you for sharing the link with your friends. That has been huge. So awesome. Really appreciate that.
And if you are on the fence to get the Immortal Pledge, you might want to do it before time runs out. So yeah. Good plug there. All right. Well, that's it from us. Thank you, Caleb, for joining us and working on the app and working so hard. It really shows. It really does.
Yeah, for sure. Glad I can be a part of it.
Yep. Glad to have you as part of the team. And thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll do one more live stream on the last day. It'll be the last hour of the campaign, which is starting at 8 p.m. Pacific time. And we'll go until the campaign is over at 9 p.m. Pacific time on the 27th of February. So look forward to seeing you then.
Nice.
Until next time, happy gaming, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Catch you all later.
Bye.